Okay, hi everybody. I'm very happy to see you today in our class. We are having our landscape in watercolors today, so we're painting that. And let me guide you through all the materials that I will need for this landscape. So first of all, I use this paper in here. So that's Canson paper, watercolor. Then I'm using the paper tape to attach it to my table. Then I will be using Miskit for watercolors to cover things that I want to be white after all, and then we can erase it together. I will need an eraser for that, so this is the eraser that I'm using. Now, speaking of the brushes, so that's number 2. Then here I have round 1, number 12, number 16. Then I have the round 1 for our sky, that's number 24. Then I have this type, I think that's number 4, because like it doesn't show in here. And then this one is number 2 for some details and for putting on Miskit. Then I will need to use a white permanent marker. Maybe I'll need it in the future, maybe not, but I think that I will, to kind of like highlight some details. And then there's like a dark black liner. The pencil, oops, sorry, that's the charcoal pencil B, that's from Faber-Castell. And then my watercolors, which are already pottered and ready to be used. We will start today with painting our landscape, so with drawing our landscape and with outlining it. So there will be a house in here, and the house is in perspective, so we have covered that already in our course. If you do not recall that, please go to one of our previous lessons and feel free to watch that, because I feel like perspective is actually one of the most important topics to be covered while you're studying art. So make sure that you understand that and know how it's used and all that. So we have our door in here, so that's our space for the door. Then there are some lines in here. So here actually I feel like that's a fence, because I'm drawing that from a picture, 50% and 50% from my imagination. So then we are drawing it like this, and there's a central part in here for our roof. So our roof is actually also a very, very important in this artwork. So here we go. And I feel like it has to be a bit different and to here. Okay. So yeah, let's continue. There are some bushes in here. And then there is a tree, which we are gonna paint afterwards. You can just mark it for now. No need to do that in detail, because of course we will it may be changed as we draw our artwork. Then there's a hill basically, so the house is on the hill, which is quite interesting, to be honest. That's why I chose this landscape for us today. So this is all it's not a cliff, I don't want to say it's a cliff, but it is definitely a hill. There are some mountains, so the mountains, I'm just imagining them, that are on the background. And then there is a tree in here also. So, and it goes like this. So the tree is actually a bit closer to us, so we might consider paying this tree like a bit more attention, because that's on the it's not on the foreground, but it's actually closer to us than other parts of our artworks and other elements, I should say. Right, and then it goes narrow to the top. So when you're drawing a tree, make sure that you have it narrower on the top. That's very important. So, okay. And as I've said, we will be adding some more lines as we draw. So it may be a subject to change. So then there's like on the top there are some leaves, also leaves on the picture, on the original picture. That's why I'm not showing it to you right now. On the original picture there aren't so many leaves, but I just want to add them to make our artwork, like, you know, more interesting and more vivid and all that. So here we go. That's our bases. Then there are some bushes near our house. So that's our bush in here, which also has some leaves. And yeah, so then there's this foreground. So the foreground, the sun is gonna actually come from this side. So that's what I'm showing to you so that you understand it and have it the same in yours. So same in your artwork. All right, and a chimney, and then we're almost done. So here, and let's add some more bushes from this side. The key word I would use for this artwork is actually minimalism, because this is minimalistic. You see that there is like a house, a tree, and that's it. So and there will be a sky. So the accent will be on the house itself, and that's the most important part. So now let's move on to something interesting. I'll just set these aside because I don't need them now, and I will be using the big brush right now. So that will be the brush 24, the round one. If you don't have the number 24, that's no worries. You can still use other numbers, and that will be completely fine. So let's start working with our sky. That will be blue and some light blue. So I've mixed those two colors, and let's just start adding them in here and here. So when you actually run out of the color, that's not a problem, and that's actually very good because you can make you know, these kind of wet parts which are really interesting. And let's use the paper towel right now, and oops, sorry, it fell. It just fell on the floor. Then add some more lines in here to make that more interesting. I'm actually putting my brush on the side right now so that it looks like there's more texture, you know. Okay, so that's what I'm doing, and I want to leave some parts dry so that there's this interesting texture, you know, and dynamics of the sky actually. And but I still am longing to make it vivid and wet, so it has to be still like very dynamic in the way we are doing it. I'm mixing dark blue. I'm adding dark blue right now, and I'm moving it closer to just some parts of our sky. So I'm moving it over here. Yeah. And actually, I'm as you see, I'm painting it all in one direction so that it all looks very organic and I don't want to say normal, but like logical, I should say, right? So for this one, that's more logical, I think. And yeah, so that's the way we do it. And here we just add more water and just move it to like just no color at all. And some parts, so make sure that you water everything out. Some parts, they will remain untouched because of our tree on the foreground. Actually, I forgot to use Misket, but okay, I think it's not a problem. So And then let's go back to our original color and add it over here. So this is all watered out. It looks fine. So I'm not using actually much of the color, but I will use much of the color in here because there are mountains on our background. So, and that's for our mountains. Okay. And yeah, I feel like the part in here is actually too bright, so I'm using my paper towel and just cleaning that a bit because there are some leaves which are gonna be here, so I've just cleaned that. All right, and overall, that's good. I feel like overall we are done with this part. Okay, cool. So our sky is all ready. That's it for the sky. Now let's go back to our, so we need to dry it off. And while it's drying off, I'm gonna use Miskit. So this brush is gonna be clean, so I cleaned it. And let's use the smallest that we have. So for me, this is number 2. I'm watering it a bit, so I'm putting a bit of water, and then I open my Miskit. I don't actually use it quite often, but today's the day. So let's try to use that today. So some parts which might actually have a Miskit, so I'll just put some of it on aside so that I check when it's dry. And I'm putting some of it in here near my door. So near the door to the house, on the edge of the house, because I don't want that to be in paint. Then I'm putting it, I'm putting a bit of it on the tree. Okay, so you see that I've made a mistake. Now it's dry. It's not dry, so that's why it just moves aside. So, but that's okay. On this side, it's alright. It's dry already. So on some parts of the tree, you can just feel free to add that. And in here where it's dry, so let's add it where it's dry, so that it's not on the whole tree, but just on the part of it, you know. And yeah, I feel like that's good. Okay, this part is almost dry. Okay, so then there's one more part. Okay, cool. Let's add some more on the chimney, because chimney is not to be covered with paint, and some on the tree in here. Again, that's let's do it with the texture of this tree, and some on the trees around here. Okay. And also let's put some on the ground, but make sure that you are following the texture of it. So it has to be with the texture. And our foreground is actually like, so we will paint it with moves like that. So you have to make sure that you're actually following the moves, I should say, right? So that's it. And yeah, some more here. All right, and yeah, so when this one is already dry, I know that this one's dry, so we'll actually do the following. We'll dry this brush off, so it's almost dry. Just make sure that it's not really wet, that it has still some Miskit, but not completely wet. And I'll add some Miskit in here. Okay, a bit wet, so not really wet, as I said. And yeah, so we're adding some Miskit over here, so that we make sure that this part of our artwork remains untouched as we are painting. And then we can erase it. And some more here. All right, I feel like that's good. And also some here especially. Okay, so note how I'm keeping my brush right now. So I'm keeping it not really, not so with the like letting me do the texture that will be on my artwork. So yeah, and let's add some more over here. So yeah, that's it for our leaves. Now let's work on the tree itself. Okay. All right, so I feel like that's actually enough for now. So that's good. Okay, and make sure that you clean your brush just in a second after you finish using Miskin, because that dries off really quickly, and the chances are that you're gonna spoil your brush. So make sure that for Miskit you just use the brush which you don't actually use very often, because it is, so chances are that it's gonna be spoiled and you will not be able to use it properly in the future. So I feel like, yeah, now I'll clean it. So it's clean, it's good. Okay, and now let it dry off. So I'll pause my recording for now, and I will be back when it's dry. So you might take a break for like 5 or 10-ish minutes. Okay, so now I think that we can continue. This part is still drying off. This part is all ready. So we will begin with painting lights, and then we will continue to shadows. Now I will be using number 16, that's synthetics, and I feel like so I actually might use number 12. Let's use number 12 and 16. Might use 16 for bigger areas, but let's use number 12 for now. So, and here we begin. So we have, let's water the brush itself, and we will start with painting bushes on the background. So let's use the olive green. I have this nice olive green color which I love, and we can add yellow to that. So we have, let's add more water to that, and here we start. So we're just starting with painting the lights. So the light actually goes first always, and we are changing the color constantly so that we have this nice dynamics of color, and add more green like this. Here we go. So some part of it is in Miskit, and it will not let the color be like over our paper, so which is nice in some places. In some places we don't want our color to be on the paper, right? So Miskit comes in hand. And then we are using ultramarine blue to make the shadows, and we're gonna just add that in here. So we're adding that color, and yep, that's how we do it. Adding more ultramarine here because that's the shadow, and ultramarine here because there is a shadow coming from our house. Then after I painted this part, I want to use approximately same colors, except for the fact that they're going to be brighter. So there's going to be olive green as well, but I'm going to add more yellow to this. So, and having added yellow to my olive green, I'm going to start painting bushes in here. Beware that you already have the blue color. So if you add yellow to this, like if you paint yellow over, it's gonna get green. So you might consider this when you're mixing your colors. That's really important. And then I want to start adding this green color, so also olive green. I'm mixing one olive with another. I have two different olive greens, and I'm adding ultramarine, but that's not going to be as dark as we have here. And I'm gonna just move it over to this part, because there, I know that there will be a shadow coming from our house. So that's going to be a darker part of our artwork. And just after I painted that, I can continue to painting lights. And I am painting lights with my warm yellow, which is a really important. I'm emphasizing that I have this warm yellow color. It is not the dark yellow, it's warm yellow. Oh, I'm sorry, I mean, this is not cold yellow, this is warm yellow color. And that's how I'm painting. So I'm just adding this color over so that they add together very nicely. And I'm going to take a bigger brush now, number 16, what I've mentioned already, and I'm gonna use a slightly different color of green, which is called grass green. So I'm gonna add that, and I'm gonna add yellow to this, and that's the color I'm gonna be painting on, like over here in this part. So that's my main color, I should say, main color of my foreground. And I'm adding it nicely so that it just mixes with itself, and it just like, they mix together very organically. Yeah, so that's how I'm adding my colors. Let's add more yellow, more olive, and with this color we're gonna continue painting our foreground. So make sure that there's enough color for it, and that you're not just painting with water only. It, of course, that's called like watercolors, right? But we still need to forget that we need to paint with the color itself. And here we're adding more yellow and more water actually on this part. And I'm mixing it nicely over here. You see that this part is already like dry, which is great. So, and for the other one, let's just cover it with the color, and that's it. Because like here we actually need to use more color, so that there's like a difference. There's like a nice difference in what we're in what colors we're painting, right? That's important. And then add a bit of darker green color, so that it goes like in the shadow. And there's light over here, so I'm just painting that with water. And over here, as there's like too much water, I'm drying my brush and gathering it. So I don't want there to be like too much water actually. And we're continuing with olive plus yellow. In this part, we might add a bit of ochre, because like ochre is a pretty important color, especially when you're painting landscapes. You don't want to forget about ochre. And yeah, let's just make a nice gradient over here and add even brown, like let's even add brown color over here. And here, just add more dark green so that we can have a nice edge. All right, so that's what we did, and then let's do ultramarine plus this color in order to paint the shadow over here. So I know that there's like a shadow, and make sure that your paper needs to be still dry when you're doing this. so that you express this cliff very nicely. And let's add more blue and ultramarine and add some shadows over here. So the reason why we're adding blue is because that's not on the foreground, right? So that's the background, and that's why we're gonna need to add some blue color to that. So yeah, that's our cliff basically, and we're adding more olive, mixing that with a bit of blue, and add this line over here. Yeah, so that's how we have done that. Now let's continue to our house. So what we're gonna work on now is the house itself. There is a nice brownish reddish roof, so we're gonna start with that color. It's gonna be the mixture of brown and red, and I'm gonna start with the light on it. So I have this nice color, which is basically a mixture of brown and red. If you don't have the color, that's not a problem. You can still mix that. And I'm adding yellow to this. And after, I just add a little bit of water. And then I just add this color on my roof. I'm not worried about the chimney because I've covered my chimney with Misket. You know what, let me actually change my brush a bit. So let's use the other one. That's gonna be the smaller brush. And then I'm adding this color on the roof. Okay, after I've added that on the roof, I'm gonna do it again. So I'm gonna mix this color again. I'm gonna have this nice brownish reddish color, and then I'm adding a bit of ultramarine blue to that. So after I've added ultramarine blue, that's going to be the shadow color, so the shadow color itself. And what I'm doing is I'm just putting that on my paper. I'm trying to have some like white line between the two, so that they are divided and they don't mix with each other on my paper. So yeah, and adding that on the chimney as well. And then I'm adding my original color back, because it's the darkest color when there's a contrast of the dark part and the light part. So after I added that, I can continue to the shadow that goes in here. So there is a shadow as well. All right, and now I also want my house to be painted. So the original house is actually the mixture of ochre. So we are using ochre. Let's do ochre plus the same color. And on the right, it's going to be with a bit of yellow, because that's the lightest part. I'm going to paint it just over here. So I'm just painting it all in, because I want my dark, like my shadow to be in here as well. And I'm not worried about putting more color, because in here we have our Misket. So our Misket's gonna just nicely mask whatever we don't want to be seen. And I'm gathering more water because I don't feel like water is necessary here. Like, I don't feel like too much water is necessary. Okay. Then some more paint in here. And then painting the, so I feel like I need to gather some paint in here as well, because that's a bit too much. Okay, that's good. And then I'm using the same color, so that's ochre, a bit of red, plus I'm doing ultramarine. And let's do some green also. The green, because that's basically a reflection of whatever we have here. So yeah, let's add it nicely over here. You see it's pretty nice mixture. More ultramarine and more of this darkish ochre. Okay, and we're adding it over here. Okay. So yeah, I'm just leaving some paper over here for our bushes. Okay, and then I'm adding, I'm gonna mix two more colors. I'm gonna mix the ultramarine with our olive color of the ground, and actually like more ultramarine in order to show the place where the house actually touches the ground. That's really important also for like to identify where our house actually is. And more ultramarine in here. Okay, so we have painted our house in here. We have, I shouldn't say we painted, we just put a basis of our house in here. Now, what I'm gonna do, because my trees over here are still being dried off, I'm gonna just work on the background in here. So I'm gonna just take this blue color. So I'm gonna clean the color first because I see some green on this. So I'm gonna take this blue color, this nice blue color, and then add more brown to this. So this is the brown that I'm gonna be using. More blue. And when we have it mixed, we're gonna add more water. So more and more water, and we're gonna show one more mountain. So that's it's not actually there on the original picture, but as you can see, this one is painted not just from picture, but from more, I should say, from more of an imagination than the picture. And let's add something in here too. All right, yeah, that's good. I like it so far. And while we are waiting for our trees to be dried, for our biscuits to dry off, actually, we're gonna add some shadows in our foreground. So we're gonna use our olive color, one and the second one, and we will actually add ultramarine blue to this, and add a bit of water. So that's the color we get. And we're gonna add some shadows over here. By the way, speaking of brushes, I feel like the best brush for watercolor is actually Squirrel. So you can be using synthetics. You can have synthetics in your set, and this is completely fine. But I'm just encouraging everybody to have Squirrel brushes because they are amazing, I should say, at keeping water. So if you want to maintain water on your brush, that's just Squirrel is something that you have to go for. So I've added shadows from our trees. There is a shadow coming from this tree as well, aside from the tree, aside from the shadow from our house. And that's the basis of our artwork. That's something that we must have. And let's add the same color over here to make it more interesting, right? All right, that's good. So moving on, it's still being dried off. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna work on this house a bit. So because this is dry already, I'm gonna add the shadow coming from this tree. And let's remember the color that we used. So first of all, we used ochre. So we used ochre color for this house. And we used a bit of yellow in that part. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna mix this with our blue, and I'm gonna get the color. So that's simple math, right? I'm just getting this color of our shadow. And yeah, and now I'm just adding this shadow over here. Even though it looks green, it will look organic because that's the shadow, right? So and that's the math that we did, simple math, so that we have the shadow. And some more over here. Basically, you're copying this tree, and you're showing that there, yeah, hey, there's actually some shadow coming. So yeah, and as we have copied that, we are letting it to dry off a bit, and then doing the shadow within. But yeah, let's initially let it dry off a bit. Okay, so I would suggest that now we need to dry first. If it's dry, yeah, I feel like this is dry because I was gonna take a break, but that's actually dry, so that's good. For our trees in here, let's use the bigger brush that's synthetic. So we have a synthetic brush, and the way that we're gonna paint a tree, let me actually put it over here. So that's like this line, and this line. So we're gonna paint it like this. And yeah, so let's actually begin now. We're gonna keep our brush like this, and our trees are going to be this light olive color plus yellow. So initially we're gonna use a lot of yellow, and then we're gonna change our color slightly. Let's begin. So here we have our lightest parts. We're painting it just like as if it were flowers, right? So we're adding that color, and then I'm adding more of the olive color in here, and we have our other color to be added. Okay, and then I'm adding more of the other green. And adding that as well over here. Okay, that's the way we do it. So remember that we have some miscut, so you don't have to worry too much. And then add a bit of, so we have this dark green. Yeah, so that's called grass green. So I have this grass green color that's pretty nice, and I like it, especially for trees. I feel like it is pretty good for trees. And I'm not putting it everywhere. I just leave some paper blank, right? And the reason why I'm doing it is because I'm gonna use ultramarine blue added to that color. And with this, so you see that the other color is coming on my palette. And with this, I'm gonna create the darkest places on the tree, so that I show this nice form. So I'm adding that. And we are done with our first tree. Let's move to the other tree. The other tree is going to be not as rich for our leaves, but still going to have them. So we're adding this olive nice color, and then this fine yellow. That's gonna be the beginning of our tree, the beginning of the process of painting it. Some more in here and in here. Then I'm gonna change the color to more greenish, to this grass green that I have on my palette, and then simply to ultramarine. So just add ultramarine to that. Maybe a bit of brown also. Let's add brown. Would be interesting, right? So that we can like show that there's like some difference between the two trees that we have just painted. So there is like one and some other leaves in here. All right. And yeah, at this point we are done with our leaves. What we might do is add some leaves in here for this tree, because like there's something in here also. And we can also add same color in here so that there's like some shadow. By the way, let's do the trees themselves right now. So we have this small brush that we are using. Oh, and there's like one more that I haven't shown to you. That's number 2. So brush number 2 is amazing for doing the trees themselves. So I'm gonna use this dark brown that I have, and I'm gonna add a bit of lighter brown to this. So in mixing them two, I'm going to, so I've actually received the color for, so I've obtained the color for my trees. And then I'm just simply adding this color on the trees themselves from both sides. And because there has to be misket in the middle. So as you can see, I'm adding that to both sides. And that's a pretty small brush, so we can easily manipulate the form and change it. So that's something that we should like use as a tool, because we can simply change the form. That's the amazing part of it. So there's like some more color in here. More. Yeah, so that's good. And then let's add more blue color in here so that there it looks like there is a shadow. All right, and let's do the same color for the other tree that we have right over here. So there is some misket, so of course you can't like paint it completely, but you can put it to a start, because like of course we will add more after, like, okay, all right. Actually, I start liking it. Okay, so at this point we actually need we really need to let it all dry off, so that we have a like a dry piece of paper that's easy to work with after. So let's let it dry off and then get back later. So I'm gonna pause the recording. All right, so I have just finished taking it all off, because that took a long time to dry off. And now we are ready to continue with painting, excuse me, our details, because we already have our light spots already. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna again mix our nice olive color with yellow, and this way we are getting our lightest color, and we're just gonna add water to this, and we're gonna put it on the places which have been just released due to the fact that we had our misket on them. So we're just gonna add some of it in here, and and all, so that we have these places also covered. So yeah, and also feel free to add like also shadows if you want to. So like you can add actually any colors that you want, but I'm just adding lights over here. I'm also just adding more this fine green color, which I like a lot actually, because like that looks pretty amazing with this color. And yeah, I'm just adding it over in some places where I feel like that's necessary. Again, feel free to experiment, because that's your artwork and you're the one to like decide where to add what color. Mixing it with a different green color, so with a darker green, and adding some color over here to our trees that are near the house. So I'm just covering that. After I've done it, I'm gonna go back to our house, use this ochre color, add more ultramarine blue to that, and having mixed those two colors, I'm adding a shadow. So that's gonna be my shadow that's over here. Right, so that's about here, about this place. And also what I'm going to do is I'm gonna just take this small brush, more ultramarine, to the same color, and add the point where the house actually touches the ground. All right, so more ultramarine, and go back here, add some of this color, this part. And yeah, so our house is almost ready. Now let's go back to our trees. For our trees, what we haven't done is we haven't finished like the trees themselves, right? So let's use this ochre. So first we're gonna use ochre. Second, we're gonna use some brown color from here. And then we are using yellow. And having that color, we're gonna add it to the like lightest parts of our trees. So to the parts which we haven't painted yet. Still like leave some space for the lightest part, because like that's also really important. There's one part of the tree that's the lightest. And add more ultramarine blue to that. And having done it, let's add some more lines. Okay, so with this, I just love using this small brush, because it lets me basically do whatever I want with my color, and I can just easily add lines where it would be impossible to add them with a big brush, for instance. Okay, adding some in here. More color. I just added the like the dark brown that's necessary for some places. All right. So I feel like at this point, what we want to add is in this part, I just have some place like unfinished, and I just want to add some more leaves into there, into here, because like I feel that's this blank space doesn't look fine on my artwork. And then here maybe I'll also just add a bit of lines. And going back also, I would use this darkest possible and add some lines in here for the bushes. All right, and yeah, this let's use the same color for our shadow from this tree. And yeah, so now at this exactly point, with this color plus ultramarine, we can actually add the darkest part in our door, because like that's the part which is a bit behind the wall. And then there's a shadow coming from the roof, which I'm going to add. And there's a chimney. So the chimney has this color, and as it is in the lightest part, we're gonna just add some yellow color to that, and I'm just gonna make like a couple of lines to indicate that there is actually a chimney and there is something, right? For the lightest part of our house, let's use ochre plus cold yellow. And after we mixed it, we're gonna just put it on the paper. All right, and same color I'm gonna use for our foreground, just plus warm yellow, because like there can't actually be white colors in nature. That's pretty impossible. So we need to make sure that all the lightest parts are somehow covered. Yep. So, and just covering it with the same brush, so that I still have some white parts of my paper not covered, you see. Okay. This part I feel like I need to cover completely. All right. So after I've done this, what I want to do is I'll just add some details, just like a couple of details, which I feel are essential. For example, bushes on the background. I'm gonna use this yellow color plus our olive green, because they can't be as light as these trees. So I'm just gonna add this color nicely on the background. And here too, in this part, I'm gonna just add ultramarine blue, and I'm just gonna add this color over here, so that it's not like a leading bush, because it can't be leading, it's on the background. All right, for our foreground, I feel like our job is done with the foreground. Though something that we can do is adding a few lines with our permanent marker. That is something that we can do. So I'm just gonna take this permanent marker. I'm gonna add some white on the tree. Hold on, now it's clean. Some lines over here. Well, I feel like it's not even necessary, because our artwork for now looks really fresh. What is necessary though is adding some like dark places in our house. So because that's the house is made of wood, we might actually consider adding some lines, but in the look, it's important to make it in the perspective, because it does need to be in the perspective. So we have added that. Let's add some lines over here, and after we add it, we are completely done. So I'm just gonna go over some details on the roof, for example, because I feel like that is gonna be necessary. On the chimney, there is a shadow. some details about the roof over here. All right, and one line. Okay, and I believe that I can be done with this part. So that's my artwork. I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna take off this paper. Make sure that when you're taking it off, you're taking it as at a very sharp angle. Why? Because this tape might actually eat some of your paper, which has actually happened to me before, and this was not like the nicest and not the finest experience in my life when it actually this actually happened, because like you've been painting something for a long time, and then there is like a tape that actually eats your artwork, which is horrible, I believe. So that's why I'm doing it at a very acute angle. And here also, same thing, and doing the same thing over here. All right, that's my artwork, and that's what I'm gonna leave you guys with. If you like this video, please let me know about this. I'm working so that you can like it, and so that it's a good experience for you. Thank you guys for watching this. So thank you for watching me paint this. If you have any suggestions or any questions, please let me know in the direct messages. And I do appreciate you a lot watching my classes. Thank you very much. Have a good day, and until the next time, bye.